It's time to wrap up them running backs. Go through tiers 7 through 11. Check out our site for all the stuff we got going on. Peruse our homepage. There's plenty to check out. Also, don't forget, get into our forums if you got any questions for us. Don't necessarily post them on YouTube. We try to keep everything in the forums so that we can have other people chime in and just keeps it all in one place, nice and neat and tidy.
FantasySmackTalk.com/forums. Very easy. All right, let's get into it. We're going to start off with James Starks. Now, he was kind of a disappointment last year to some degree, but you got to remember, for this year, we like him a lot more. He's actually one of our sleepers because he's not going to be splitting with Ryan Grant. It's a high-powered offense. The safeties are always back. A running back there has to be good. All right, now I'm going to pass it over to Dustin because he wanted to talk so bad about apparently his new man crush here, Mark Ingram. So go ahead.
We just had a little debate before the show. He wants to put Brown over Ingram, but my debate is I think Ingram will safely get maybe 15-plus touches a game, which will give him enough touches to have value, and he's going to get the goal lines. I think double-digit touchdowns is very plausible for him. So in a standard league, I think Ingram definitely over Brown.
But yet he wants odds on those touchdowns, even so it was very plausible. Hypocrite. Next on the list, we got Donald Brown. You know, Donald Brown's, I think his upside's a lot higher than Ingram, but he is ranked lower for a couple reasons. The first reason is we're not 100% sure he's going to have that job out there because Carter's still in the mix, but either way, he's probably going to. He's going to be a starting running back, could get the bulk carries for the Colts. And rounding out this tier is Jonathan Stewart. The amazing thing about Jonathan Stewart last year was 47 catches. This guy's never caught a ball, it seemed like, in his career until Cam Newton got there. He's clearly the running back to own for Carolina.
Tier 8 has a lot of question marks, but also a lot of potential. First guy, Reggie Bush. What a year from this guy last year. He proved that he can kind of handle running between the tackles, but now they're already saying that he's going to go away from that role, and that will probably be filled by Daniel Thomas, who's later in this tier. But he's going to have value in PPR leagues, obviously. He's still going to be very much involved in the passing game. Moving on, Ben Tate. If Foster goes down, which would be a nightmare for Mr. Nameco, he'd probably go in a closet and cry for a little while. Tate will be amazing. However, if Foster is healthy, Tate is just going to be average, probably about 10 touches a game. He's still going to get factored in, but Foster's the man out there. Moving on, CJ Spiller. If old man Fred Jackson goes down, we really like Spiller. He showed us a little bit last year. This guy does have talent. You know, Buffalo's offense, you know, they're okay. You know, we think Spiller could be a big name guy if Fred Jackson goes down. Moving on, Daniel Thomas, talked about him a little bit earlier. He got off to an okay start at times last year, but he battled injuries the whole year. You know, we think that he does have potential. We think they drafted him to be their featured back, but Reggie Bush just kind of surprised some people. But we wouldn't be surprised if Daniel Thomas, you know, kind of goes back into that early down work. And the last guy in this tier, Jarvis Green-Ellis. The problem with him, I just don't think he's really just that good at football. You know, he didn't really do that well last year with New England as far as yards per carry. You know, and that's with defenses playing way back, trying to protect against the pass. So I'm not necessarily that optimistic about him in Cincinnati, and we do think Bernard Scott's going to factor in as well.
Tier 9 starts off with the starting Week 1 Steelers running back, and it's not Mendenhall. He's probably going to start on the pup list, but we'll talk about him. That's Isaac Redman. Now, clearly, Mendenhall's probably going to be coming back sometime during the year, so you have to keep that in mind when drafting Redman. But if Mendenhall has any setbacks, anything like that, could be some value here. Next on the list, we have D'Angelo Williams. We said earlier, Jonathan Stewart's clearly the Carolina Panther running back to own out there, but they do split carries, so keep that in mind. At number 37, we have Tim Hightower. Oh, Shanahan. God, every fantasy owner should hate Shanahan because you never really know what's going on. Hightower might be getting the starting gig. He did pretty well before the injury. Just things to note late in the draft. At number 38, slowly it's becoming my man crush in 2012. That's Ronnie Hillman. You know, any running back with Peyton Manning's value to me is automatically increased, and I think this is a year that McGahee finally hits that wall, falls off the cliff. Hillman swoops right in. Love this guy as a sleeper. Next, we have Rashard Mendenhall. Talked about him a little bit earlier. He's going to probably start the year on the pup list. Even if he doesn't, that injury is pretty nasty. It's going to take a while for him to be 100%. At number 40, we have Ryan Williams. This was a rookie that was drafted to pretty much take the starting job away from Beanie Wells. Beanie ended up having a pretty good year last year, but Ryan Williams is going to be in the battle, and if he is 100%, he could take that starting gig at some point, so there's things you got to note. And then rounding out this tier is Mikael LaShore. We like Javad best, but the concussions, all of those things are big issues. The Lions are a high-powered offense. If LaShore does get the starting gig, and he will be playing, he's going to be suspended the first 2 games, so he will have value no matter what. But if LaShore gets the bulk of the carries, it's the Lions. They're going to score a lot of points.
First guy in tier 10 at number 42 is Ridley for New England. You know, we rank Ridley and Vereen kind of the same, but it does seem like Ridley kind of has the head start for maybe getting that starting position. But you can't trust a New England running back, so we can't rank him any higher than where we have him right here. Moving on, we have Jacquez Rodgers for Atlanta. You know, they've been saying they're going to pass more, which would definitely involve Rodgers. You know, he does have some value in PPR leagues, but even if Turner goes down, we don't think Rodgers is big enough to handle the full load. Moving on, we have Pede, my favorite sleeper running back out there with the Rams. I really feel like this is the year where Steven Jackson starts to crumble, and they drafted Pede to eventually take over for Jackson. I think that could happen this year. I think he's well worth a gamble in the later rounds. Moving on, we have Bernard Scott for the Bengals. I think the running back situation is just going to be an absolute mess out there. I think Leonard might even factor in as well. Obviously, Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis is going to be out there. But I think it's just going to be an ultimate committee, gross terribleness for fantasy owners. But Bernard Scott, obviously some value in really deep leagues and also worth a late round flyer. Moving on, LeGarrette Blount, one of my favorite guys to watch run. He had one of the best runs I've ever seen last year. However, he can't remember how to block, so he doesn't get to play whenever they're playing from behind. Whenever it's passing downs, he's going to be on the sideline. That's why they drafted Martin. We fully expect Martin to really just kind of take over a lot of Blount's work. However, he is going to get some early down work and probably some goal lines, but we just think his value is very limited at this point. And the last guy in this tier is Peyton Hillis, new home with the Chiefs. But if Jamal Charles is healthy, it's Charles' job. Hillis will still factor in a little bit, but he's just not going to have much value if Charles is healthy.
All right, we're now looking at tier 11, so clearly this is late in the draft. We're going to start off with Michael Bush, and he's now with the Bears. Quintessential vulture. Forte never can get in the goal line. That's what Bush is there for now. At number 49, we have Felix Jones. Always a disappointment in fantasy. Murray comes in. He's a beast. Murray gets hurt, and Felix finally plays well. We don't care. As long as Murray's healthy, he's going to be the man out there. At number 50, we have one of Dustin's boys from last year, Kendall Hunter. Now, it's definitely a lot crowded because Jacobs is now there and you have Gore, but they're kind of the same big bruising type backs. PPR leagues, and the guy that's going to be spelling them is going to be Kendall Hunter. At number 51, we have Toby Gerhart. He's going to be drafted maybe a little bit too early considering all the reports coming out. He's going to be starting. He's going to get ball carries. It doesn't matter. He's not that good, and as soon as AP is good to go, he's not going to be seeing the field anymore. Next, we have David Wilson. Like we said, Jacobs is gone from the Giants. David Wilson was drafted in the first round, but he's not a big bruiser like Jacobs. He's very similar to Bradshaw, actually. So he's probably going to be splitting a lot of time, and the veteran Bradshaw should be getting the bulk of the carries out of the two. And then last guy is kind of my own personal gut call, Shane Vereen of the New England Patriots. Obviously, you can't trust the New England Patriots running back at any point, but Vereen was drafted second in 2011 in terms of running backs. So, you know, the Patriots liked him whenever they drafted him. He didn't have a great last year, clearly. He was banged up at the beginning, which really hurt him. And now I'm talking way too much about Shane Vereen. Look at him in the OTAs. If he's getting first-team reps, just a gut call here.
And there you have it for the running backs. Like we've been saying all along, check out our site, join our social media stuff, subscribe to us on YouTube if you haven't already. If you got any forum questions, post them in our forum. And don't forget about those fantasy games. Dustin, Nameco. We'll catch you later.